everybody. Before we jump into today's episode, we have two sponsors we want to say thank you to for supporting this show. The first one is Routine. You guys have heard me talk about Routine, honestly, back from the early days of the podcast, and it's still a product I use every single morning. They have a prompt for me here. I'm going to do a little impromptu on this ad read today because honestly, this is a product that I truly believe in. And so I'm just going to tell you guys exactly what I think and why. First and foremost, this is a stat that they shared, but when you sleep, you lose between a pound and a half of water. And most of that's just sweating while you sleep. I used to not know if that was actually true, to be honest. I felt like a pound to a pound and a half of water seemed like quite a bit while I slept. But the one thing I did constantly pay attention to when I started using Routine was just the fact that before using Routine, I always felt a little dehydrated in the morning. And I'm one of those people that when I get up really early usually. I work out. One of the first things I do is some form of fitness. It's just like what I do before everyone's awake. And so it's very easy for me to grab a coffee, pre-workout, an energy drink, something with caffeine in it, and just go. When I am good about using Routine, first, I basically they come in these little single serve packets. They contain half an organic lemon, a tablespoon of apple cider vinegar, Himalayan sea salt, all 6 essential electrolytes, and they have no sugar in them at all. A lot of hydration products are going to have sugar. So one of the things about Routine that I love is that there's no sugar in there. So when I am good about doing this consistently, I will take one of those single serve packets, I'll throw it in my mixer bottle, and whether I also put in a pre-workout or something with caffeine or I just drink that separately, I try to drink that first. And the days I do that, I do genuinely feel hydrated and just have a different form of clarity all morning. A lot of people have tried to make their own homemade versions of Routine, right? You see people they take a shot of the apple cider vinegar, they put a little sea salt, a little lemon in a drink. This is essentially that, but in a product that you can take with you on the go, have it ready for you first thing in the morning. I know me personally, when I'm groggy rolling out of bed, the last thing I want to do is, squeeze a lemon, cut lemons up, go get the apple cider vinegar, find my sea salt. I just rip this packet open, throw it in my water, drink it, and it's good to go. You can try yours today. If you haven't tried it yet and you've been listening to this podcast for years, just try the damn Routine. Give it a shot. You can use code ShaneWhite30 and get 30% off your first order. So you get 30% off by using code ShaneWhite30 and go to yourroutine.com. To make it even easier, I've added the link to yourroutine.com in the show notes. So just click on the show notes for this episode, click on the link to yourroutine.com, and don't forget to use code ShaneWhite30. All right, guys, today's episode is also brought to you by Neuro Roast. Again, I'm going to go a little off script here. Neuro Roast is a product that I also came across during this year of 2023. They are a coffee company that's helping you optimize your brain function and overall well-being. This is another product that, to be honest with you, when I first started working with it, I was a little on the fence. I was like, do I really want to have mushrooms in my coffee? Well, folks, I will tell you, when I use Neuro Roast, one of the things that has stood out to me the most is I'll back up. People that know me know that I have way too much caffeine, typically. One of the things this year I've done a good job of is cutting out alcohol. Not completely, but predominantly, I don't touch a lot of alcohol anymore. What I think I've actually done the other way, though, is add a lot more caffeine. So I do definitely drink too much caffeine. That's something I need to work on next year, is to try to minimize how much of that. But Neuro Roast is something that has actually helped me. Because of the way they've formulated their coffee, like unlike regular coffee, which is, still something I consume, but Neuro Roast specifically doesn't cause jitters or crashes. Mushroom coffee provides more balance and sustained energy, allowing you to stay focused and productive throughout the day. So the times I do use Neuro Roast, I'll be honest, I just don't feel that jittery, like, I'm jumping out of my chair or standing here at my desk, jumping around feeling. So give Neuro Roast a try. They have some really good flavors. I'll be honest too, the two guys that started Neuro Roast are just really good dudes based out of New York, and they're hustling, and hopefully they can get some people to try Neuro Roast this holiday season by listening to this podcast. So for you folks who've been on the fence, I'm telling you, it tastes delicious. They've done a fantastic job of making this coffee not only be functional, but taste fantastic. And if you want to try Neuro Roast, you can use code ShaneWhite. So it's super simple, just ShaneWhite at checkout. you'll also get 30% off. So if you go to neuroroast.com, and once again, I have added that to the show notes. So just click into the show notes while you're listening to this episode. You can click on NeuroRoast link directly. Don't forget to use code just Shane White, and you'll get 30% off your order. Hope you guys love both these products. I'm trying to not only bring you guys products that I use, but that I believe in on the podcast. I'm not taking ad reads for any brands that I don't really believe in. So anyway, hope you guys love both those products, yourroutine.com and neuroroast.com. I've added those links to the show notes. I hope you guys love it. And I got an awesome guest coming up right after this. All right, everybody. Kent Yoshimura back on the podcast. Kent, I should have looked this up before we started, but it's been years. You were one of the very, very first founders that ever came on the podcast, and I'm pumped to have you back, and so excited to jump into the deep end of what's been going on at NeuroGum. Welcome back to the show, man. How you been?
Thanks. Well, I missed you so much that I had to come back on.
I know. You know what's crazy too? I thought about it. I want to say we tried. I could be totally lying. I feel like we tried to bump into each other at like Expo or some event, and it didn't happen because I still haven't even met you in person, which is crazy because I feel like I've talked to you a lot. And we know so many mutual people.
Are you going to NACS or any of these shows?
Like, I don't have anything lined up. I don't have anything lined up right now. Besides, like Expo West is funny. It's like me and Kyle's only real major work trip.
It's the most fun.
Yeah, and it's just like so much bang for your buck. I feel like we go make a whole week out of it usually, and just everyone's there. But we probably
so many of these now. It's crazy.
That's the thing. I mean, it's funny, right? Like we don't have a booth, obviously, so we're like walking around talking to people at booth. Yeah, so it's a little more low key for us than it probably is for you guys. But give everyone a rundown. I mean, we don't have to go through the details. That just I'll have to ask you a million questions. But like, what's the new exciting thing at NeuroGum? I know a couple things that I got to mention to you on the podcast today, but I'd be curious. Just you as the
what's happening. I mean, our team has grown pretty significantly, and that's been a really exciting journey. Just figuring out how to maintain culture while cultivating the right people for the roles needed. So I feel like that's been one of my biggest learning lessons over the last few years. Obviously, we have like an office and a fairly sizable warehouse now in Las Vegas, but we moved to Las Vegas. So that's a big.
Did you really? Oh, so you're in Vegas now too?
Yeah, over like the last few years.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Moved to Vegas, which has been fun, very hot, but fun. And it's also nice because it's not chaotic. So I feel like the focus
is not the word towards the business now. That's not the word I thought you would say with Vegas. How is it not chaotic in Vegas?
You don't go to Hollywood Boulevard if you're in LA. You know, like you don't go to the Strip when you live in Vegas.
Okay, fair enough.
It's actually really nice, suburban. Like the national park is right behind in my backyard. It's super nice. And outside that, just continue to build, launching new products, sticking with our guns on gum and mints, and making sure that people get the supplementation they need through an easier format.
So two things. I mean, we'll dive into the product again for people who didn't listen to the first one. Going from, I think we said before, you thought you were close to 8 people to 40. I mean, that's a ton of growth when it comes to growing a team.
Yeah,
what has it been like? Because I'm sure, like the two things I always wonder, because you're from a headcount perspective, you're a long ways ahead of where I'm at. What has it been like to not only have so many more people working on the business every day, but I'm sure letting go of some processes that you used to own? Like, what's all that been like for you just since we last caught up?
I mean, I think the most interesting thing was so we raised a Series A. And then we started hiring people to begin building the real growth in the business. Mm-hmm. And we almost had too many people until that inflection point hit, at which point we felt like we didn't have enough people. And I feel like that's that tug of war that you're constantly going to be dealing with, because everyone's so specialized in their roles. Obviously, everyone's so incredible at their roles that we're constantly pushing how much we're able to do in relationship to growth. So I feel like that's been probably a big hurdle. Jared, who obviously one of the co-founders at RX Bar, has been instrumental in, giving me tips on the org chart, how he thought about hiring, how he thought about financially scaling that side of the business alongside, forecast. And it's been, depending on how many people we need at the warehouse, I guess that number flexes, between early, low 30s to high 30s, sometimes over 40.
Oh, so the warehouse is actually you guys you own and operate the warehouse.
We own everything. We got so jaded by being burnt by multiple 3PLs, even like the biggest ones. I was like, we're bringing everything in.
Oh,
It
good for
makes way
you.
more sense. And then we operationalized it and it's fantastic.
Yeah, I was gonna say, has that been? Would you call that a win and something you recommend to people if they can afford it? Because that's something I don't hear a lot about, actually.
It's a lot of freaking work, but I think we're so process driven and our operations team is so good at what they do that the warehouse was able to run in the more effectively than using partners.
Okay, got it.
Yeah.
Wow, good for you. So what would you say since we last talked? Then, from a day to day perspective, Kent, what do you spend less time on, and what do you spend more time on now?
I mean, I feel like I'm in more meetings than ever, but I'm not doing busy work as much anymore. So I would say that's a really big thing. While before, I'd be going in and like a lot of busy work, just the technical stuff.
Yeah.
Way less technical stuff, but that technical base that I do have is, I feel, a blessing in disguise because I have a better understanding of the nuances of the business and could
Hmm.
speak to different aspects of it, while also, working on looking at higher picture stuff, which is, I would say, another inflection point that you have to deal with.
Have you enjoyed it? I know for some people, like
Yeah.
it's got to be a fun transition, but also it's probably weird to like let go. But yeah, maybe it's for better though.
Yeah, I mean, I assume you felt this when you were at RX Bar and you just feel that growth and the energy that
Sure.
everyone's so invested in the business and the culture, and we're reaching this point now where we're just doing super fun stuff.
Okay.
It's like,
Okay.
let's
Sure.
make toys, let's make like the craziest packages, let's do these activations. We're sponsoring teams like 100 Thieves because we're into gaming. Like, we get to do things that we wanted to do but were maybe too expensive or prohibitive, and we could take those risks to a certain degree now. We're still fairly conservative, but we're able to take those risks.
That's really cool, man. I mean, one of the things, this is a little bit of an aside. I remember when you first came on the podcast, right before I had you on, Rogan was talking about you. And I remember being like, whoa, like Rogan's just talking about NeuroGum right before you were coming on. And I think about it all the time. Every time I watch a video podcast version of his, there's always NeuroGum on the table. And like he still organically talks about it.
It's
Like
crazy.
you guys just have a product that's like, it's just such a good product. I know me and my wife love it. Yeah, so bravo to that, because I do think there's a thing in CPG where products can kind of go in and out and become something that
Yeah.
people like, and then they get forgotten because there's just so much.
Yeah.
And I just wanted to say hats off, because I still see it in the same people, and not like a paid way, even just like an organic way, which is so
Thanks, man.
cool.
Yeah, thank you. I mean, that's really it's like winning the lotto when the biggest podcaster in the world, or outside you, soon
Of
to be the
course,
biggest
of course, of
podcaster in
course.
the world, of course, shouts out your product, and he like loves us. It's kind of crazy.
Does he
He
ever
shares it
reach
with his
out or
friends.
anything? Like, is he trying to reach out
No,
and do anything? No, it's just like he
like
just
that's the
loves it and
thing.
talks about it.
I mean, he's worth so much. I think that's the thing with Joe. He just kind of does his own thing, and
Yeah, for sure.
so, I mean, he shares it with Whitney Cummings. So Whitney Cummings is posting about it all the time now. We ran into Andrew Schultz last week because we're talking with his management team, and Andrew's like a huge fan. So
Oh, really?
we've gotten this like comedian crowd that's pretty awesome.
I mean, it makes sense. It's probably great to take before you go on stage. I mean, all the nootropics and different things in your product, I'm sure. I
Yeah.
mean, I'm sure that can't hurt going
Versus
on
an
stage
energy
from that.
drink where you're like needing to pee on stage,
Yeah.
and I think that's why gamers have been so big for us as well. Like, and I apologize that we had to move this podcast time to a later time
Oh,
because
no, you're good. You're
we
good.
were meeting with like the president of 100 Thieves. They wanted to talk about this new opportunity they had, and it was because it's just been they use the term locked in. It's like their entire team is so locked in when they take Neuro that they want to like continue to elevate how we work
Oh,
with them.
really?
Yeah, it's
Okay.
very cool.
Wow, good for you guys. Yeah, I mean, it's one of those products where I think it's a combination of actually how you feel with it, but also the use case of it that makes it so organic to tell people about. I have an energy drink on my desk, and I like people will see it on Zoom, but I'm not like carrying it around with me everywhere necessarily. Versus
Yeah,
NeuroGum, I feel like it's so much easier to like you have it in your pocket or you have it in the car. You just have it. It's such a from a product perspective, I've always thought it's such a good, it's just everywhere when you need it type of thing, that there's got to be a lot more organic conversations that happen than cold
yeah. I
beverage
mean,
even.
unfortunately, the hard like if you look at the UFC or like NBA conferences, you see that Monster Energy drink. Just it's a billboard just standing there on that desk. We can't do that, unfortunately, because ours lays flat, and then you
Sure.
can't really tell what it is. But
Yeah.
outside that, to your point, it is that portability, I guess, and the shareability is something that we've always believed in, and it's starting to pay off. Knock on wood. So
Yeah. So I guess let's back up because now I'm also curious. How did you guys decide to go to Vegas? Because are you still doing murals and all the fun stuff you were
yeah,
doing in LA? Yeah. Okay. You just
yeah. I
moved
actually
the gig.
did a project with the Win for their new show Awakening. So I did like a
Cool.
whole mural thing for them.
Look at you, man.
But it was just so that studio. I think I had my first podcast meeting. So that burned down actually.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah.
Holy
So
cow.
in like a crazy historic fire in LA. So I lost everything, and
No, man. Did you
it
really?
was it was like a weird catalyst to be like, I've spent my time in LA. My car kept getting broken into, insurance dropped me. Things were getting more expensive. It was just getting harder and harder with where I lived after losing everything that I was like, all right, let's just make a move. Let's move the business. Also, because with COVID, our office just shut down and we all went remote anyways. So,
Yeah.
and like prices in Vegas are a third of what they are in Los Angeles.
Isn't
So
that crazy?
it's just way more comfortable. And again, it allows me to focus on what I need to focus on, which is the business.
Sure. Yeah, it makes a ton of sense. I mean, let alone thinking about your car getting broken into all the time. That's not super
Like
great for
every
concentration.
single week, like back
So
to back.
crazy.
And
Weren't you
it
kind of
was
in I
unfortunate.
remember weren't you kind of in wasn't your studio kind of in an area that was a little not sketchy, but like I remember you telling me about this in the
Yeah.
first podcast. You're like, it's not the safest area.
I mean, downtown LA, like the place I lived was the Arts District, and it's 2 blocks away from Skid Row.
Yeah. Yeah.
My art studio was 2 blocks away from Skid Row. Like, I
Yeah.
think, but it's a nice area. We have like a blue bottle.
Okay. Yeah. It's like you
It's
just
just the
got to make sure
nature
you
of,
take a left, not a right.
yeah, exactly.
Wild man. Okay. So I mean, you guys moved to Vegas. Was that also to get, are you guys trying to get like people back in the actual office, or is it just to be based in Vegas and you're still mostly remote?
Based in Vegas, mostly remote, really easy to fly into Vegas also, which is great. And harder to fly into LAX and get people to the office. But we still have quarterly meetups, but it's still remote. Did I lose you?
Oh, I think I might have lost you.
I see you
Let's
moving.
see. Can you hear me?
Trying to reconnect. Make sure you have a stable internet connection. Sorry, is that me?
All right.
Okay, got it.
No,
Let
we're
me
back.
close
You're
some
good.
tabs out, actually.
Yeah. Sometimes this platform's great, but it also can be a little funky.
Yeah, I'm just gonna close a few things out just so that I'm not using bandwidth.
That sounds good.
Okay, cool.
So basically, I heard the part where you said basically we're based in Vegas, but we're mostly remote still, which totally makes sense. I feel like that's kind of the dynamic most people are doing. Do you have like office space at the warehouse?
We
If you
do.
guys want to go there and meet up and do things?
Yeah, we have like TVs. So we have I'm sure we'll talk about this to a degree, but we have like a TikTok live studio in one of the rooms that we're building out with like a monitor and like a whole setup. We're getting a
Whoa.
fabrication team in there to build this whole thing out. Like, yeah.
Oh, let's jump to that. So, I mean, I told you before we hit record. I mean, for everyone listening, and you have to give me a little bit of background on just you. You obviously are in the weeds of this, and I'm actually trying to get into the weeds of it.
Yeah.
I saw you post something on LinkedIn the other day. I knew you guys were doing well on TikTok Shop. I didn't realize how well you were doing until you post. You guys are like the top selling brand on there, which is fucking nuts, dude. First of all, congrats on that. Give me a rundown on how you guys have started using TikTok. I know, anyone that listens to the podcast has heard me tease it a little bit, but it's becoming such a big play for a lot of CPG brands. You guys, how long have you guys been playing with TikTok? Kind of give me a rundown of like how long this has been a push for Neuro.
Yeah, so it's been a year. It's been a long time. And I think things have started popping off in the last few months, obviously. But Jonathan, who heads our Amazon and our TikTok, and I made it a New Year's resolution to post every single day on TikTok. That was our New Year's resolution.
Love that. I am such a big fan, and everyone listens will know this, of streaks and like do something simple every day. It's like my whole life now has become that. It's like a combination of like way too many of those. I'm so excited to hear this because I'm such a big believer in this.
And it's the most basic thing. And like a lot of people are like, dude, I see you on TikTok, like blowing up in this. And it's like, how do you do it? And it's like, well, honestly, it's just learning TikTok, and it's a lot of work. And yeah, there's the affiliate networks and creator connections and things like that. We actually don't do it that way. We have our own way of doing it, well, that I'll talk about, but it's we post it every single day. Jonathan and I.
And what kind of things are you post? Was it like just whatever you came up with, just like a random
whatever
thing to post? Yeah.
Like,
okay.
My profile is at Neuro Kentaro, and it's literally me running and talking. I was like, because I was training for an ultra marathon during that time.
Perfect.
So I would just record myself just talking while like running. I would talk about like when Joe Rogan spoke about us on the Bobby Lee episode. I was like, I can't believe that happened. That post was the first piece of TikTok content that went super viral for us.
Okay.
And so I think it has almost like 5 million views or something now. But
Whoa.
yeah, but that was
Now,
in January.
even on that post, Kent, do you feel like there was something special like? I post clips of this podcast, for example. Nothing like that has popped off, but I've told people who've asked me, I said, it's funny. I do the same thing, I feel like, from like hashtags to the way I like write the captions to what's the text on, like, I don't feel like anything's drastically different. And sometimes I'll get like 10x the difference in downloads, and I have no clue why. I still, to this day,
Hooks. I literally think it's all hooks.
Okay. And it's the
Yeah,
algorithm
hooks and
picking up on.
visual, like visual and audio hooks.
Okay. That would make sense.
I think that's 99% of it.
And it's just their algorithm's able to pick that up on its own.
It's view. I forgot what the actual like acronym was, but it's view time to engage to click. It's view time to engagement. So when people are scrolling and like they stick on your thing for a little bit longer, they leverage that and start pushing it up. So that's why the hook is so important. But it was just me being like, I can't believe this happened. And that was like literally the first second, it's me like freaking out
and
in front of the camera.
That must have just made people stay on to see what it was, or was there something they were clicking on?
Yeah, exactly. They were just like, what happened? And then it cuts
cool.
It cuts to Joe Rogan, a clip of Joe Rogan talking about it.
Yeah.
And then me talking about NeuroGum afterwards. So
whoa. Okay. Wild, man. And did you just treat it as like, okay, I'm gonna post every day and I'm just going to do some form, like some difference in the test every day, and I'll figure out something that works? Was that kind of the plan?
100%. So making like 3-4 variations of that. All those videos got like a few 100,000 views. The variations. I did like a Shark Tank version that got like almost 1 million views. I think it got 1.2 million or something like that. Like, so there's a formula that we started figuring out, then pushing Spark ads behind it on the content that works. We're getting like $5 CPAs. So we're like, whoa. Now everything starts elevating.
Yeah. What's Spark? Is that like a way to push ads out on TikTok?
Yeah. So you could do ad authorization on any TikTok video, and then through the TikTok ads platform, push ads behind it. So it's almost like whitelisting.
Yeah. And is that for like, can brands do that, or does that have to be like individuals doing that?
Anyone could do it, but brands, we did it as an ad. So if you go into your settings, you could give ad authorization on your video. It gives you this hex that you throw into the ad platform on the back end, and then the brand can push ads through it.
Oh, got it. Okay. I don't even know. I didn't even fully understand how that worked. Okay. Got it.
So
very cool.
we were doing that, getting crazy low CPAs, and then that builds our clout, right, in the ecosystem of like, whoa, like Neuro selling pretty well in TikTok.
Yeah.
And then, I was one of those fools that was in the NFT craze back in the day, launching stuff, trying to. And back then we had a Discord channel cultivating a bunch of people like in the NFT space but I think the major difference is we're selling a great tangible product now, and the TikTok's team even told us this. So there's like, you guys aren't selling bullshit. Like, you're a legit brand, but you're not so big like a Nabisco or whatever.
Yeah.
That they move way too slow. We're not small either, where like we don't have the resources, and we're right in this perfect spot where we can supply the inventory to a certain degree as needed, while also flexibly like creating content, growing, cultivating creators, and pushing.
That's so cool.
I think we just hit this perfect I mean, the group, we don't reach out to thousands of creators either.
Okay, I was going to ask, is that like are you flexing like the influencer community through TikTok, or are you guys doing your own?
Yeah, we do our own outreach, and we only have like 100 people we work with, and
that's interesting to hear. Yeah, that's interesting to hear, because I think that the big misconception right now is that you need like thousands of influencers that are highly engaged to make a TikTok business. No.
Yeah.
Not true.
I think people just get burnt out by like, if you look at our stats, we have these people in our group that we cultivated, took a super long time to cultivate them. We do orientations, like we just treat them like they're part of our team, honestly.
Cool. Yeah. And there's probably a fine balance at like how often they're posting, so they're not just like overwhelming their community, I'm sure too. Is that there's some validity to that?
Yeah, exactly. And
if you follow
also,
no one wants to follow 10 times a day. Yeah.
The TikTok creator that's just creating content to sell.
Oh yeah, no, 100%. And you can sniff that out so quick. Yeah.
That's what everyone else is trying to do by being like, TikTok creator connections. 1,000 people are reaching out to these people every single day you're not going to reach these people.
Yeah.
Like, ever.
I've been thinking that. I'm like, it seems like the wrong way to go about it entirely. Like it seems like you're
Yeah,
just kind of screaming into the void at the same place everyone else is screaming.
that's exactly it. That's exactly, and I think it's a real skill to be a good salesperson, obviously,
For
and a good
sure.
TikTok. And it was nice because my video became an example for what was good and what
I was going to
works.
say there's probably such a difference between a founder being like, by the way, I created a TikTok myself first that did this. If you can do
Yeah,
something similar, we'd love to work with you. Like that's so powerful versus brand XYZ here. Start to make content for us and make it organic and feel like it's natural.
yeah, exactly. It's like it's just like what, an email in your inbox from a random brand that's like, we'll give you 30% commission if you push this soap.
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah.
I don't care.
100%, man. Oh, that's so true. Okay. Well, that just gave me a whole new thought about TikToks. Thanks for that. I mean, I think anyone listening who's even remotely interested in TikTok, like what a good way to think about it. I mean, also what a good challenge. Even what's today, September 24th. If anyone
Post every
listening,
day.
it's funny. I wasn't even going to say this, but it's not TikTok. Maybe I should think about doing it on TikTok. Maybe maybe I'll change it, Kent. I'm gonna proclaim it on the podcast. I've been trying to post. I did it daily all through August as a test on LinkedIn, just one post a day of just like something I thought of, that's something I thought would be helpful. And it's cool. Your brain just starts. You need to post something, so you just start thinking about things throughout your day that wouldn't have popped up as a post. You're like, oh, that actually would be a good one.
It becomes
And
like a habit. Yeah.
yeah, and I've been surprised at like how many things I've posted. People are like, oh, that was really helpful, and thanks for posting. I'm like, oh, really? Well, that's cool. I didn't know people would give a shit about that. Should probably do the same thing with TikTok. Like
I
post,
think
because like clips from this could be interesting. I could post one a day easily across all the different episodes we do.
I think once you get past like the self-consciousness stage, it's like no, because no
Absolutely.
one cares.
Yeah,
You
no
know?
one cares. No one cares. I know. I always stop and think like anyone who cares about that. Like think about how much shit is posted on every platform every day, and like you don't stop and think like, wow, what an idiot for posting that.
Yeah,
It's just like you just scroll the next thing. Like you move on in
it
two
is what it
seconds.
is.
100%. So for you guys, I mean, obviously, I said it out loud. If anyone wasn't paying attention, you guys are one of, if not the top selling brand on TikTok right now. I would have to assume with how big TikTok's growing, TikTok must become like, even for you, like sharing with investors, TikTok has to be like a pretty big play right now. Like it's not like a little noise over in the corner. It's got to be like a pretty big channel for you guys. No,
Yeah, it's our second biggest channel after Amazon. It's just great
holy
because
shit.
Amazon's really big for
Amazon's
us.
number one. Oh, I didn't realize that. Okay. I was going to ask you, is ecom still as big of a push than 100%? Yeah, it's
Oh
huge for you
yeah,
guys.
I mean Amazon. Like hearing RX Bar's numbers, we're bigger than RX Bar's Amazon.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
So
Good
or
for
like
you
on
guys,
trend
man.
ARR at least. Yeah.
Wow. So Amazon and TikTok. Yeah. Are you guys still pushing retail as hard as you were even a couple years ago?
Yeah, but retail's so hard. Like our entire retail business can be done revenue-wise in like 3 weeks of Amazon.
Wow.
So it's
Okay.
like,
Yeah, your
it's
guys'
just
product is just it's such a neat, like it's interesting. It's niche, but it's also mass. It's a weird, like when I think about it out loud, it's like it's not really. But yeah, I agree, and I feel like the longer and longer time goes on, if I were to start a brand, like the less I'd want to pay slotting fees and deal with all
oh
the
my
bullshit
God.
trade agreements
It's
and
like a
just
few $100s to get a cash register per
it's
store. It's like, what? How do
it doesn't
you?
make any sense. I don't know how long. I just it's so interesting to think like how long that world can survive if brands start to say no and no and no to it. I mean, I guess you're just always going to have some people that don't do the math and say yes, and then they
Yeah,
churn through. Right? I heard someone talking about that the other day about how it's unfortunately for that side, it's like there's always someone wanting that space, and there's enough people out there who maybe don't realize how much they're about to pay that are willing to pay for it, and then eventually when they burn out, they'll just move on to the next one or have a big
I
brand
would.
slide in.
I also think it's like because I was talking to the Simply people,
Yeah.
like a
Okay.
few weeks
Yeah.
ago, like the Simply
Yeah.
Gum, Simply Mints, and they were like doing incredibly well in retail because people are still shopping for that kind of gum or mint at retail, and they get to have the checkout placement in Target and places like that,
Okay.
while they're not doing very well on Amazon, or like they're not doing like as well as us on Amazon because people shop for supplements, functional products, things like that within e-commerce.
Sure.
Like, would you go and buy a bag of potato chips on Amazon, or would you just pick it up at a store as like an impulse purchase? And it's
Yeah,
like
that makes
this.
sense.
It's interesting to see that like fragmentation happening with how shopping behavior is.
For sure. I mean, and for you guys, I mean, I have to ask because obviously you know me a little bit, an Amazon nerd. Like, do you feel like over the years this has become a major play for you guys? Has like I spent a ton of time in advertising, for example, in my agency. So are there certain things within Amazon for you guys that have really popped off? Like organically from the advertising lens? Like what are some things that have really like helped you think fuel that growth over the last couple of years?
I think it really just goes back to traditional marketing techniques, which is, top of funnel, middle of funnel, where you cultivate, and then bottom of funnel, and then build retention tactics on top of that. Subscribe and save was major for us, building our subscriber base, and creating this like awareness of habit to our product,
Okay.
where it's
Yeah.
like you could replace coffee with this. This could be your afternoon boost instead of your 5-hour energy or energy drink or second coffee. And after a certain point, like I'm chewing this all day, because it's such a nice, perfect amount of caffeine
Yeah.
that doesn't like burn you out. And I think that education is always like super important, and then continue to cultivate that.
Sure. And for you guys, have there been certain like I know we really have been focusing a lot on video, just because video, it's becoming more expensive, but it's such a good way to do that, where you get to really teach the consumer through a quick, really highly engaging video. Have you guys done some of that, and has that worked well?
We're launching again. We did this before, but DSP, on Amazon, like display side stuff. I mean, TikTok obviously drives a lot of top of funnel to Amazon.
Yeah, are you guys leveraging? You are already leveraging TikTok to drive people to Amazon?
I think it just naturally happens as a halo effect, and I think it goes back to that. Like, the reason we spend a significant amount sponsoring the best esports team in the world in 100 Thieves is because people start building that association, and that top funnel, and then eventually they go, when they see like an ad, we could do a conversion. I guess there's like conversion strategies that we could bring them into the fold. So it's like looking at it more comprehensively than just bottom of funnel now.
Sure. No, that makes a ton of sense. I think that's because to me, that seems like one of the biggest questions with TikTok, especially as they integrate directly into Amazon, is it going to be still a top of funnel halo effect type of thing? I mean, my big bet is if they can get to the point where it's swipe up and you can get basically, it connects to your Prime account and it's 2-day free shipping, I think it's going to blow the top off of Amazon as far as what sales can look like for brands, especially someone like you guys, right? You already have a big Amazon business. And then you have big TikTok business, and now you can connect the two. I think it's a huge opportunity.
That's in the works, right?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, that's why I was pumped to talk to you, because
there's a little partnership happening. I think it's launching in like a month or something.
I was gonna say, I think it's soon, right? I've been trying to like really figure. You probably know more than I do because you're so close.
We're super excited for that. Like that, you're 100% right. Like that's gonna be a game changer.
I genuinely, me and Kyle talk about this openly all the time with the clients we work with. We're like, I think this could be the moment for Amazon, similar to what Meta became for D2C, where all of a sudden Meta and Google ads just became this like the absolute top of funnel for most D2C brands that are native. Amazon today, it's like you're already, most of the time you're advertising, if you're not doing DSP or if you're not driving people from those like Google and Meta over. I mean, most people are spending most of their dollars on Amazon already. So you're banking on people who are just already shopping the platform. I mean, now you're going to have TikTok directly sending people to Amazon. And I was laughing. I'm like, you know how many boxes are going to be at my front door between me and my wife when it's like, $14.99, $9.99, $8.99, you just swipe up and it purchases for you? Oh, it's going to be a disaster. Yeah. Like for you guys, I can only imagine, like you have the perfect e-com product, like genuinely the perfect e-com product from an FBA, fulfillment, size, everything. I'm sure your economics are great. And then to think you could have a trial pack size that's a swipe up on TikTok. Holy shit, dude. Yeah, it's going to be crazy.
The other company,
that's so exciting.
The only other company that I think has better economics than us is LMNT, because they literally just sell salt in a stick pack.
Yeah, they do. They literally sell salt in a stick pack.
I think about that and I'm just like,
I don't know if you know them. I don't know them personally, but I thought it was wild for them to go from that to then like a heavy canned beverage. I was like,
I was like, don't do that. Like because that's like hurting them.
Oh, it has to be killing them. It's so, I mean, especially knowing like they're trying to, like with their price points, they're trying to be relative. I'm like, you guys probably aren't making enough. You're not making enough at all on the RTD, and you're probably cannibalizing. You're probably having some people that move off, but whatever, maybe there's some secret thing they're not telling us. I don't know.
They have, sometimes people don't want to stick with what's working, right?
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Well, Ken, I get the last thing, and I know I gotta go in a few minutes, so I have to get to something. So I want to make sure I ask a couple big questions for you because these are important. The TikTok studio, gotta ask that. So what can people who are listening today look forward to from NeuroGum? And by the way, I'll make sure I tag like your TikToks and all this stuff so people
Please.
can find it in the show notes.
We need more followers.
Yeah, you need more followers, obviously.
Yeah.
But what's this going to look like for people? This is going to be an in-house studio that you guys are going to be pumping out, I'm assuming, daily content from?
Yeah. What I'm super excited about is like, so everyone's just using the TikTok video platform. And I went to film school. So like,
Oh, that's right. That's
I
right.
feel
That's
like
right.
I could really flex this. But people are only using the TikTok live platform to sell product like a HSN or a QVC.
Sure.
We want to do programming. We want to get yoga sessions in there. We want to get workout sessions in there. We want to do like variety shows, DJ sets, and turn it into almost like we're getting like program coordinators to build a TV show
Whoa.
on TikTok. So we're trying to build a studio to do that and elevate our
How
brand
cool,
that way.
man. Wow.
Yeah.
So that'll help
So
you just get out to a whole new set of audiences that'll like tune in to watch whatever the
hopefully,
program is. Yeah.
yeah, it's like live, it's like live television, literally.
Yeah.
And
Through
so
TikTok.
through TikTok,
And
people
by the
are
way,
on there
swipe
already.
up and buy it on Amazon. I can see where
Yep,
this is
exactly.
going. Yeah, this is going to be incredible.
So
So
we're
cool,
building
man.
that. Yeah.
Okay, very, very cool. Wow, I didn't expect to go this far into TikTok, but I'm pumped. I'm pumped we did because this
Cool
is
platform. Yeah.
I first of all, thank you for sharing all that because I know like you guys are at you guys really are at the forefront. And when you were posting about this on LinkedIn recently, I was like, this is for people listening who are in e-com or in CPG. I think what you guys are doing on TikTok is really cool, man, and it's revolutionary. It's actually showing people the opportunity and the potential that I think people realize is there, but they maybe just haven't heard a story from a founder who's actually achieved anything on it yet. So
Yeah.
first of all,
I
hats
will
off.
say
Congrats.
another brand who's a friend of mine that does really well on TikTok, which the only unfortunate thing is his like product isn't really fit for TikTok,
Okay.
is Nectar Hard Seltzer. Jeremy Kim and
Okay.
Nectar Hard Seltzer.
I don't know that,
They've
but I'll check them out.
done such like if you're looking for a good TikTok playbook on just like how to effectively use it for top of funnel awareness, he's done an incredible job.
Cool. And they can't sell on the platform though, right? Are they able to sell?
Yeah, because alcohol.
Yeah. Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
So they're
the
building
only
brand
thing.
awareness on it though, and then
Yeah.
hopefully drive into retail, I would assume, right? Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
They would be
That makes
crushing
sense.
it if
If they could. Yeah.
they could.
Very cool. So I'll leave one last question on TikTok. Do you think, Kent, in this environment today, like let's say if you were starting NeuroGum tomorrow, do you think TikTok is going to become a place where if you're someone who's starting a brand, starting a product, that should be one of the first places you try to start this brand is just leveraging TikTok?
100%. Especially because meta ads, as you probably know, are getting so prohibitively expensive that it's almost impossible to reach people now, and it's so saturated. And TikTok's pretty saturated too, but honestly, I think the biggest piece of advice on any platform that you're using is like putting the carrot. There's no magic pill to be like, hey, we're going to reach out to all these people and it's going to work out.
Sure.
Like, we went in, we made the videos every single day, we did the streak, we knew what worked, we cultivated our own creators, we treat them like our own team, and they're freaking awesome. We actually don't bring them in if they're not awesome. Like we
Okay.
get to,
Yeah,
we're like
right.
super selective about it, and then like continuing to build everything internally. Yeah, there's no agency, there's no magic pill.
Wow.
That could do that. It comes
Sure.
from.
It makes a ton of sense. And you guys have building it in-house like that, I'm assuming that's been a big piece for you guys. It makes a ton of sense, just the way you're going about it. Very cool, man. I'm excited to review this. I'll have to go back and dig it up and I'll post the two answers that you're giving me. But can you, to finish this up, one of the things, if you remember from the podcast, I still ask these questions even, whatever, 3+ years later.
Love it.
Any source of knowledge that you would recommend anyone listening today, a book, a podcast, an article, just anything that you recently pops in your head first thing, Kent, that you would recommend sharing with the audience?
Yeah. Funny, talking about Jared and RX Bar and building a company, who is a great book. I don't know if I mentioned it last time, but it is literally the book on hiring, and it allows you to create like a scorecard across the board of what hiring criteria should be, so that you could bring better people into your company.
What's it called again? So I can tag it.
Who? WHO.
Okay. Who? Okay. Oh,
Yeah,
love that.
Could be a better name for a book, but
no, actually, I think it's kind of unique. I like it. I'm doing, just as a plug, this is funny, I'm doing 75 hard right now, and part of it is like you read 10 pages a day. I hadn't physically read a full book in probably 3 years, and I've gotten into this. I say it if you're watching, like, quote unquote bad habit. Every time someone recommends a book, I've just been going to Amazon and buying it. Like, don't even think twice, I just buy it. And this
Without
thing
reading
behind this is just like all the books that I've bought and have not read yet from since I started 3 weeks ago.
Wow.
It's ridiculous. My wife's like, another one? I'm like,
Well, another one. I saw you
it's
like
kind of fun,
grabbing
though.
an Amazon package.
My cat is in here. I didn't realize she was in here, and she's trying to like bury herself in the package. So yeah, I just got another book. I literally got a book today. I started wearing a glucose monitor a few months ago.
Oh yeah, a CGM.
Yeah, and a lady that was on Stephen Bartlett's Diary of a CEO podcast. I don't know if you ever listened to that before.
Yeah.
She wrote a book all about glucose, and the podcast was cool, so I bought her book.
What's her name?
What's it called?
Casey. Oh wait, what's her? Casey?
Oh, Casey Means. By the way, I have
Casey
her book.
Means.
Good Energy. I just bought that one 2 days ago, and then this one's called Glucose Evolution.
Oh, I know that one too. Yeah.
Jessie in Chaspe. She's French, so I'm horrible pronunciation.
Yeah, she's like a home chef or something, or like a home cook or something.
She has like a background like biochemistry.
And biochemistry. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm excited to read this one. This one, I'm honestly probably gonna read this one next. I'm reading.
And she has like little illustrations in it.
Yeah, like little hacks, little illustrations,
like hand-drawn illustrations.
I just posted a podcast about my thoughts on them. I tell everyone, if you've ever wanted to be a healthier version of yourself, I see you're wearing an Oura ring. That's great. The glucose monitor, have you ever worn one? They're crazy.
I have, yeah.
Okay, you know that. Yeah, I don't need to bore you. I mean, it's just eye-opening to everything you're eating and putting in your body. So.
And then realizing like the spikes that happen.
And you're like, that has a spike, but that doesn't? Okay, shit. Exactly. And the last question, the most important, I think, Ken, this is one of my favorite ones. You probably don't remember me asking you this, but now that your company is kind of elevated to a whole new level, what tools do you put around you to not only get shit done today that you need to get done and ultimately prioritize those things, but plan, weekly goals, quarterly goals, annual goals for you, the company? Are you a pen and paper guy now? Are you an apps guy? Like, what do you kind of put around you to just get stuff done and know what to work?
Like we go through these phases where we're like, oh, this is a great tool. This is a great tool. And then we always come back to using just Google Workspace. And we have like a running Google Slides that everyone can edit. And then we have our key priorities on there. And you can look at the history of every week, how it evolves. Those key priorities kind of just stay the same, though, quarter to quarter. It doesn't really move around that much.
Oh, that's cool. So it's like a shared Google Slide that just you guys keep adding a slide every week or every month, and it's just got all the priorities for the company that you can see.
Yeah, exactly. And then you go into history, and then you look at the whatever previous weeks where it changed. But the priorities don't really change, so.
Sure. Yeah. And then do you have like your own to-do list that you're keeping track of?
Yeah, and I have a to-do, like we use ClickUp, and I have like a board on the homepage of ClickUp for all the things I need to do. But I think if we keep it so simple, and people keep recommending different things to us, like inventory management tools, and even stuff like that, we're like, yeah, we use an Excel sheet, and that's really robust, and we keep building it in a better way, and it works perfectly. And we knock on wood, rarely have issues.
It's funny. I the longer and longer I do this, and even on my side, I agree. I think just like keeping stuff simple tends to be better. Like there's so much noise with that kind of productivity stuff that the simpler the better. I'm with you on that.
And everyone knows how to use Excel.
Yeah.
Everyone knows that this is the source of truth.
And you can customize it any way you want. You're not inhibited by anything that a software can't do for whatever reason.
Exactly. I love it. It just looks prettier somewhere else. But
exactly. That's true. Well, Kent, thank you so much, man. It was great to have you back on the show. I'm pumped to hear, what the next few months look like for you guys and finishing the year strong on TikTok. And I'll have to keep a close eye on you. I feel like you're going to know something I'll need to know with this TikTok, Amazon stuff. So I'm going to be staying close in contact with you because I'm trying to stay at the forefront of it all.
Awesome. I can't wait for me to show up in one of your daily LinkedIn postings.
I'm so pumped. You're going to. Now you're going to. Now I'm going to have to post about it and tag you 100%. Well, I appreciate it, man.